Love. You know, it feels like pure magic, doesn't it? Like a lightning strike, some kind of cosmic connection. But what if I told you that underneath all that poetry, love is also a predictable biological process? Yeah, a journey we can actually map out, right from that first spark all the way to a lasting bond.
So, let's get right into it. What is actually happening inside your brain when you fall in love? I mean, that's the big question, right? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on all that romance and really look at the fascinating chemistry and neuroscience that's driving the whole thing.
Here's the thing you have to understand. Love isn't just one single emotion. Nope. Scientists actually see it as a journey, one that unfolds in these really distinct stages. It's a progression. And you know what? Almost every single relationship follows this biological script, and it's all shaped by this powerful cocktail of hormones swirling around in your brain.
And lucky for us, we have a map for this journey. This framework breaks it all down into 5 key stages. First up, you've got that initial spark, attraction. Then comes that dizzying head-over-heels high of romance. But after that, well, things get real with the disillusion stage. If you make it through that, you get to the deep connection of attachment. And finally, the goal, stable love.
All right, let's start at the very beginning, Act 1. You know this phase. It's that intoxicating, can't eat, can't sleep, think about them all the time phase that just feels absolutely incredible. And it's all driven by one thing, a massive chemical rush.
So what's actually in this powerful honeymoon cocktail? Well, first, you've got a flood of dopamine hitting your brain's reward system. That's what gives you that euphoric high and that laser focus on your partner. It's actually not that different from the effects of certain drugs. Then you've got norepinephrine fueling that feeling of obsession and adoration. Of course, testosterone and estrogen are there to ignite that initial spark of physical desire. And get this is fascinating. Your serotonin levels can actually drop to levels that look a lot like those in people with OCD. That's the real science behind why you literally cannot stop thinking about them.
And all of that explains why we talk about wearing rose-colored glasses, right? Because that chemical cocktail, it doesn't just make you feel good. It actively dials down the parts of your brain that are responsible for judgment and critical thinking. I mean, your brain is literally less capable of seeing your new partner's flaws. It's like a built-in biological mechanism to help you bond without getting bogged down by every little imperfection.
But as we all know, that initial chemical high, it can't last forever. And that brings us to Act 2, the reality check. This is the big turning point, the moment things get, well, real. And look, it can definitely feel like a crisis, but this is actually the most crucial stage for building a love that's meant to last.
You can see the shift perfectly here. The honeymoon phase, that was all fueled by a dopamine high. But now, in the disillusion phase, that initial chemical rush starts to fade. The rose-colored glasses come off. Those judgment centers in your brain, they come back online. And all of a sudden, you're not just seeing the idealized, perfect version of your partner anymore, you're seeing the real person, flaws and all. And yeah, this is usually where the first real conflicts start to pop up.
Now, I know what that sounds like. Disillusion sounds pretty bad, right? But the most important thing to get is that this stage is not a sign that the relationship is failing. It's actually the opposite. Think of it like a test. It's the first real chance you have to move beyond that chemical high and start building a connection based on something real, on acceptance and genuine understanding.
And if you can navigate that reality check, if you pass that test, you get to enter Act 3, the lasting bond. This is where the brain chemistry shifts again, moving away from that frantic, exhilarating rush of early romance to the deep, comforting hormones that create long-term attachment.
So let's meet the new chemical team on the scene. First up is oxytocin. You've probably heard of it. It's often called the bonding hormone or the cuddle hormone. It gets released during physical intimacy. We're talking everything from hugging to sex. And it's absolutely essential for building trust and emotional closeness. Then you have vasopressin. This one is huge for promoting long-term attachment and even what scientists call mate-guarding behaviors. These two right here, they are literally the biological glue that holds a lasting relationship together.
Okay, so how in the world do we know so much about these specific bonding hormones? Well, you might be surprised where a lot of this research comes from. As this quote from a 2023 study points out, a huge amount of what we understand comes from a very unlikely source, the humble prairie vole.
Yeah, prairie voles. It turns out these little guys are one of the few mammals out there that are socially monogamous. They form lifelong pair bonds, a lot like many humans try to do. So by studying them, researchers can see exactly how oxytocin and vasopressin work together with dopamine to create and, just as importantly, maintain these incredibly powerful, lasting attachments. It's just amazing proof that our drive to bond isn't just a human thing, it has these deep, ancient biological roots that we share with other species.
So, we've walked through the emotional journey, we've seen the brain chemistry. But this whole biological process of love, it's not just happening in your head. It has real, tangible, measurable effects on your physical health. Let's dig into the body of evidence.
And a perfect example of this is a really cool long-term study out of the University of Minnesota. The researchers wanted to answer a pretty big question. How do the romantic relationships we have when we're young end up impacting our health decades down the road? So they tracked a group of people for 14 years to find out.
So check out how they designed this study. It's really smart. They started with the participants at age 23 and assessed the quality of their romantic relationships. Then they waited almost a decade. At age 32, they came back and measured how many stressful life events those same people had gone through. And then finally, at age 37, they evaluated their sleep quality.
And the finding? It's an absolute perfect illustration of the long-term impact of love. The results were crystal clear. The people who had better, more supportive relationships back in age 23, they went on to experience less stress at age 32. And that reduction in stress, in turn, directly predicted better sleep quality at age 37. It's this powerful chain reaction that links love directly to our long-term health.
And believe me, it is not just about sleep. The health benefits of strong, loving bonds are huge. We're talking improved heart health and lower blood pressure, a better immune system. Some studies even link strong social connections to a longer life. But this last point is the one that always gets me. Brain scans show that emotional rejection, like from a breakup, it lights up the exact same regions in the brain as physical pain. Just think about that. That's how fundamentally wired we are for connection. It's not just a nice feeling to have, it is a biological necessity.
Which brings us to our final question for you to think about. We've seen that love is this incredible biological process that literally shapes our brains. We've seen it's a powerful force that can protect our physical health for decades. So, if all that is true, if our relationships are just as vital to our health as diet and exercise, what does that mean for how we build our lives? What does that mean for the priorities we set every single day? It's definitely something to think about.